I'm Maria Tanwatco Trillo, and we begin with this breaking news. An Air Force helicopter carrying 5 people crashed in Isabela last night. The chopper fell on a ramped area at around 7:10 p.m. Initial police reports say that 2 pilots, 1 backrider, and 2 crew members were on board the aircraft. The Philippine Air Force says the incident took place at the Kawayan Air Station. The helicopter was supposed to undergo training for night vision goggles proficiency. Kawayan police says 2 bodies were seen in the aircraft. 1 person was injured and sent to the hospital, while 2 other passengers were missing. The Air Force says recovery of the aircraft is ongoing to confirm the number of casualties. They will also conduct a probe to determine the cause of the crash. We are reaching out to authorities to get the latest in the story, and we will bring you more details as they become available, so do stay tuned to CNN Philippines. A passenger ship caught fire off the coast of Catmon Town in Cebu Province at around 10 last night. According to the Philippine Coast Guard Region 7, all 48 crew members of MV Filipinas Dinagat are safe and accounted for. The ship left Cebu City around 7 p.m. and was bound for Palompon, Leyte. It was carrying assorted goods. An investigation is ongoing to find out what caused the fire. Malacanang admits that lapses in home quarantine protocols may have contributed to the surge in COVID-19 infections. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the health department should have set clearer guidelines on asymptomatic and mild cases early on. But Roque stressed they are now rectifying these lapses.
I think hindi naging malinaw kasi yung sinabi ng DOH that the asymptomatics and the mild can stay home. No? Hindi nila lininaw na you must have your own room and bathroom. Kaya tingin ko isa sa dahilan to kaya tumaas ang numero natin. Pero we're rectifying it now. We have fully intensified our testing. You heard testing Sir Vince Dizon. We might be able to test every single person in Metro Manila. Kailangan lang natin damihan din yung isolation centers natin dahil baka mamaya alam natin ang positive, walang sariling kwarto, walang banyo, hahawahin pa rin yung pamilya.
Authorities are reminding the public to carry only original or certified true copies of their COVID-19 test results. Yesterday, police raided a Quezon City print shop for producing fake COVID-19 test result certificates. Our correspondent Rex Remitio tells us more.
Ma'am? May tig-isa na lang.
Kayo na bahala.
This surveillance video shows how a printing shop employee produces a fake COVID-19 test result certificate. The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group of Quezon City conducted this Thursday afternoon. This leads to an entrapment operation and the arrest of 2 printing shop employees. Operatives also confiscated printers, computers, and other hardware as evidence against the suspects. The printing shop is located in Barangay Pasong Putik in Novaliches, Quezon City.
Pagawa po kami sa kanila ng certification. Tapos ang ginagawa nila, ini-edit nila po yun. Pino-photoshop nila and then edit po. Tapos yung pirma po doon, yung doktor na gagamitin nila, ay yung doktora po na si Kathleen Timugan po.
A concerned resident identified as Shin, not her real name, was behind a viral post on Facebook. Shin tells CNN Philippines she went to the shop to avail of its printing services Thursday morning. To her surprise, she saw an employee changing a name in the scanned rapid test result document using a photo editing software. The original document indicates the patient was tested negative of IgG and IgM antibodies. Shin also says she saw a man holding copies of rapid test results, whom she alleges was the one who requested the changes.
Ay malaking po yun, malaking problema po sa atin yun. Siyempre, ginagamit po kasi, halimbawa, kung ikaw po iuwi ka ng probinsya, di ba, na natin ngayon po yung yung mga na uuwi ka ng probinsya, yung mga pamilya na gusto umuwi. Ginagamit po nila po yun, sir, na medical.
Dr. Kathleen Timogan, the one who signed the certificate, says she immediately contacted authorities after seeing the viral post. Timogan expressed dismay for using her name and that of her laboratory clinic in the illegal activity.
Hindi naman basta-basta yung ano, 'di ba? Yung pinaghinapan mo, license mo, na ganyan, mabaliwala lang dahil sa mga ginagawa ng ibang tao.
Police Captain Edwin Fugan says the CIDG Quezon City will file charges against the shop personnel and owner. Among these are violations of revised penal code articles about falsification of documents and Section 9 of the Mandatory Reporting of Notifiable Diseases and Health Events of Public Health Concern Act. The suspects meanwhile declined to grant any interview to the media.
Ayon po sa kanila, di raw nila alam. Pero imposible naman din nila alam kasi mag-isang taon na sila nag-ooperate. And nalaman pa namin, wala pang business permit po sila, yung may-ari po nito.
National Police spokesperson Brigadier General Bernard Banach meanwhile warns the public that authorities would arrest anyone who presents falsified or tampered documents. Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines.
The coronavirus continues to rage in the country. There are 2,200 new infections today, bringing the total confirmed cases to nearly 74,400. Out of the fresh cases, over 1,500 are in Metro Manila. Another 760 people have recovered from COVID-19 and 28 more succumbed to the disease. This is New Day on CNN Philippines. Film and TV director Joyce Bernal walks us through the preparations for this year's State of the Nation address. And find out how the beauty industry is adapting to the new normal. We'll have that discussion and more right after these messages. Film and television director Joyce Bernal inspected the Batasang Pambansa ahead of President Rodrigo Duterte's fifth State of the Nation address on Monday. Bernal says preparations for Monday's SONA are simple yet complicated because of the pandemic. She adds she had more time to prepare visuals for this year's SONA, which may be used for the address. She explains they had to pre-record materials except for the president's speech because of logistical concerns. Bernal, who is known for comedy and romantic films, is directing the State of the Nation address for the third straight year. The fourth year of the Duterte administration is scarred by the biggest health crisis of the century, the coronavirus pandemic. How did the government respond? What is the status of the country's healthcare system? Caroline Bonquin has this special report.
Ito po yung mga medicine ko.
Reynaldo Abacan Jr. has spent the past decade dealing with staggering out-of-pocket expenses for his kidney treatment. Although PhilHealth shoulders 90 sessions of hemodialysis, Reynaldo still spends roughly 700,000 pesos yearly for medicine and other treatments.
Napakataas po ng rate na mga namamatay ng mga pasyente dahil hindi nabibigyan ng tulong.
This is why Reynaldo was looking forward to the implementation of the Universal Healthcare Law this year. Signed in February 2019, the law provides health insurance to all Filipinos.
Kasama po din mga libreng laboratories tsaka mga medicine po. Malaking tulong po yun.
But the coronavirus pandemic happened, forcing PhilHealth to delay the Universal Healthcare Law due to shortage of funds. The agency covers testing and hospitalization of COVID-19 patients. The Health Department has over 100 billion peso budget for health services and programs this year, but most of it is now spent fighting the coronavirus. The government set aside 374.89 billion pesos for the COVID response program after realigning funds to set up quarantine facilities, expand testing, hire health workers, and support affected residents, industries, and workers.
Maraming hindi pa alam dun sa virus. So lahat ng bansa nag-struggle talaga.
Altogether, the government and the private sector have provided over 8,000 facilities, 14 mega quarantine sites, and over 70,000 additional beds. From just one laboratory, the country now has 89 labs testing for COVID-19.
We were able to already test more than 1 million people here in the Philippines. No? So pag tinignan mo yan, medyo at par naman tayo sa ibang bansa.
University of the Philippines professor Dr. Jean Espero says the pandemic has unraveled and aggravated the weakness of the country's healthcare system. Hospitals are short on resources and staff, especially in the provinces.
The Philippine healthcare system, even before the pandemic occurred, ay mahina na. Hirap na hirap siya, no? Yung mga outbreaks ng halimbawa sa dengue.
Critics have noted that the government's COVID response is militaristic, focused mainly on disciplining the public.
Isang public health emergency is the fact na walang expertise yung mga military officials natin. And at the same time, very worrying din, kung yung ating Department of Health Secretary ay hindi kaya mag-assert ng maayos.
Paano mo mapapatupad yung physical distancing? Kung nakatira ka sa mga lugar na sobrang densely populated, hindi yan inasikaso.
But the government insists all its actions are based on science and data. The health department has assured other health services are rolling out.
We were able to establish that pathway where people can still go for essential services other than the COVID services.
But as a non-COVID patient who's also facing a life-threatening disease, Reynaldo feels neglected.
Madagdagan nila yung treatment na 90, provide ng tama yung gamot, tsaka yung mga serbisyo mas mailapit sa tao. Kasi yun talaga yung kulang eh. Para ka pang namamalimos.
Reynaldo hopes the pandemic has made officials realize the importance of the people's health to a nation. He looks forward to reforms that would fix what's broken in the healthcare system. Caroline Bonquin, CNN Philippines.
The beauty industry is among those hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. But with restrictions now easing, leading beauty brand L'Oreal hopes to get back on track with its sustainable goals as it adapts to the new normal. To tell us more about this, we now talk to Supriya Singh. She is the country managing director of L'Oreal Philippines. Good morning, Supriya. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Rhea. It's great to be here.
Okay, quickly, just walk us through what exactly were the sustainable goals of L'Oreal that were put in place even before the pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. So yesterday we announced our 2030 roadmap for sustainability, but actually we've been committed to sustainability for a long time. Over the past 10 years, we've been taking actions to completely change our value chain. So we have reduced our greenhouse gas emissions in our factories by 78%. At the same time, we've increased production by 37%. And so it's these kind of achievements that have shown that we can really de-link growth of the industry and of our business from the environmental impact. And that's really critical for us moving forward because, as we all know, we're in a very difficult time right now, both from a social responsibility standpoint as well as the environment. The planet is really at a crossroads now and it needs our help. And so we want to take much more radical action and set science-based targets that respect our planetary boundaries for the entire life cycle of our products.
Right. So for you to reduce emissions but increase productivity, I mean, that sounds like a dream for most companies, and a lot of companies tend to think that that's not possible. How did L'Oreal do that?
Well, look, it's not something that happens overnight. So this has taken us 10 years to get here, and a lot of this kicked off, many, many years ago. But I think it's a combination of things. It's a combination of renewable energy sources. It's thinking about our water usage and making sure that we have a loop in our water usage. It's things like respecting biodiversity. So it's many of these things together. And it also actually takes a huge commitment from leadership to say this is something that is important. And so we now actually design all of our products right at the beginning with what is the sustainability requirement and what is our footprint going to be. And we're starting to look at it much beyond just the direct impact of our products, but also what's the impact on the environment when somebody uses our products, like the water usage and things like that is actually one of the biggest environmental impacts of beauty products.
Supriya, how then does a global company like L'Oreal adapt to the new normal, and have your goals been affected by the pandemic?
So absolutely, this has had a big impact on us, and the pandemic has had an impact, but it's actually made us even more committed that sustainability is the right thing to do, and it's an important thing to do right now, and that's for three reasons. The first one is that consumers are demanding more safe and natural products, and they want to know where those ingredients come from. So having that fully traceable ingredient with the naturality and the safety is critical for our consumers. Secondly, there are more and more vulnerable communities now in the Philippines and in the world than ever before with the slowdown of the economy, and that's where expansions of some of our programs like Beauty for a Better Life are even more important. And let me tell you just a little bit about this program here in the Philippines, because it's a program where we train women and men from disadvantaged communities on how to be hairdressers so that they can gain employment for themselves. both at home, hairdressing, as well as getting employment in a salon. And it's something that I think, we want to expand because we know it's needed here more than ever.
Yeah, empowerment at a time like this is really so important. Thank you so much for your time, Supriya Singh of L'Oreal. We appreciate it. Entry the slums is all about. And to tell us more about it, we are now joined live via Zoom by Director John Andre Kobe. Direk, good morning. So I'm glad you could join us today.
Good morning po.
Okay, so tell us more about the slums. It's set up as a mockumentary. What exactly is a mockumentary?
It's ano po, it's a movie genre that plays with the documentary tropes, and it's set up like yung film po parang ano siya, parang it's pretending to be a real documentary pero it's not. Usually used po siya by satirical pieces like favorite movies ko like Borat and other films by Sacha Baron Cohen.
All right, so tell us about this family that is featured in the film. What's the story? What are they going through?
Ang pamilya de la Cruz po, yung family sa The Slums ay isang simpleng pamilya. Meron po silang nanay, tatay, tsaka tatlong anak. And ang kwento po ng The Slums ay nagsisimula sa pagkasira ng TV ng pamilya at paano umikot dito yung storya, paano sila na-take advantage of nung documentary team doon sa pelikula.
All right. Where exactly did you shoot the film? And can you tell us about the experience of shooting as well as what it was like to work with the actors?
Sobrang saya pong katrabaho ng mga actors na nakuha po namin. Sila Miss Sunshine, sila Miss Sunshine, sila Sir DMs, and sila Dylan, ayan po, si Miss Joribel. Sobrang saya po nilang katrabaho at sobrang dali dahil hindi na nga po kami nag-script reading. Na lang po kami bale, binigay ko na lang po yung script, nakita po kami one time, tapos parang ginawa para sa kanila yung characters nila. So hindi naging mahirap para sa akin na i-direct sila. Dahil ramdam ko na gets nila kung sino si Naida, kung sino si Julio, kung sino si Pam. At feeling ko nga parang tinadhana sila na dalhin sa amin ng tadhana na makuha yung role. Yun po. Tapos yung naging experience po namin sa paggawa ng pelikula namin ay sobrang pleasant po niya na kasi sinigurado po namin na may plano at sobrang masusunod yung plano, as in sobrang mabusisi yung naging research, yung location hunting, yung lahat po ng technicals ng film namin, sinigurado namin swak dun sa gusto kong ikalalabas niya na vision.
All right, yeah, I'm looking at the stills. It looks like masayang-masaya talaga yung shooting nyo. And when I've spoken to other directors, they say, well, it didn't feel like work. It just felt like we were having fun and playing. Do you feel na parang ganun din nung nag-shooting kayo for The Slums?
Actually, opo. Kasi, for example po, nung shoot po namin, parang every after takes, nagkukwentuhan lang kami, ganyan, biruan. Tapos hindi po siya talaga naging parang trabaho para sa aming lahat kasi sobrang naging pleasant nung environment sa set, and kahit po sa community parang kung saan kami nag-shoot, very naging pleasant po yung pagtanggap nila sa amin at medyo nakakahiya nga, nahihiya pa po kami noong una dahil syempre manghihimasa kami sa isang community para mag-shoot ng isang pelikula at hindi naman madaling mag-mount ng ganito klase mga productions. Pero natutuwa po kami dahil meron naman po kaming suporta nung community kung saan kami nag-shoot po.
Okay, itong film mo, The Slums, Direk, nanalo na siya, right? You recently won an award at the Busan International Kids and Youth Film Festival. Tell us more about that and why do you think na nanalo yung pelikula mo?
Actually, until now, medyo in shock pa rin po kami. Parang hindi pa rin siya, totoo ba na nanalo tayo sa isang, sa isang international award? Parang, kasi nung ginawa po namin yung pelikula, hindi naman po namin inasam na makakuha ng mga awards. Ganyan, gusto lang namin maihayag yung kwento ng pamilya de la Cruz, ganyan na maiparating sa mga manonood yung mensahe ng pelikula namin. Pero natuwa po kami dahil sa tingin ko, nag-resonate din yung issues sa pelikula namin sa ibang audiences, sa international audiences. Kasi naman po ang konsepto at issues ng mga mahihirap, marginalized communities ay kahit naman po siguro sa mga first world countries ay existing siya. So feeling ko po merong na bridge na barrier, na cultural barrier yung film namin at kaya siya na-appreciate din ng mga audiences abroad.
All right, we definitely look forward to seeing that. Maraming salamat, Direk Jan Andre Kobe. You can watch The Slums and 9 other Cinemalaya short film entries beginning August 7. Now, vlogger Nusair Yassin, more famously known as Nas Daily, emphasizes the need to talk about issues that matter to people from all walks of life, especially in times of pandemic. Yassin recently ventured from making human interest videos to podcasting. Speaking to CNN Philippines, Yassin reminds fellow online content creators to be responsible in initiating intelligent conversation using their platforms amid the uncertain times. News here on CNN Philippines, a fraud legal officer of PhilHealth has resigned following a Zoom meeting last night. In his resignation letter, attorney Thorsten Montes Keith cited various reasons, including widespread corruption within the agency. He also said he opposed the mandatory payment of contributions by overseas Filipino workers. He is calling for a thorough investigation by an independent agency over the unfair promotion process. He also claims his salary and hazard pay have not been on time since he investigated officers in PhilHealth. In a statement, PhilHealth says it has yet to officially receive the resignation letter of attorney Keith. The agency says any grievances on promotion can be resolved through its grievance machinery. PhilHealth assures the public that it takes any issue on corruption seriously. It is also asking attorney Keith to substantiate his accusations so proper procedures can be initiated. And that's it for us this Friday, July 24th. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. I'll see you again next week. Please